Hello, everybody. Welcome to our African composers interview of today. We have a guest African composer with us today who is talking to us from Nigeria. I will invite him to introduce himself shortly, but before I do that, I would like to thank anybody who will watch this interview live for joining us, and anyone who will watch this as a recorded interview. Thank you very much for your time and for your support as well. Um, so let's talk to our guest composer of today. Please introduce yourself.
Um, uh, I want to first and foremost say, well done to you, Ma. We are proud of what you're doing for African music and for all you do in music. Generally. My name is Micheal Bakare. I'm a composer from Nigeria. Though I have a mixed background, I was formerly, brought up as a Muslim. And even while I was young, I used to have a keen interest. You know, every time I hear them play music or instrument, maybe in a church, I would love to go closer and see who is playing and how they are playing it, without knowing that God is preparing me for a brighter future. And when I got converted to Christianity, through the help of my mom and some other key personnel who preached to me. Um, you know, I fell in love with Christian music generally, and thank God it's worth it. I want to also appreciate those who have helped me thus far. uh, in person of Mr. Luafemi, who was the youth leader then. I mean, when I got converted, the church I went to first, it was the youth leader and also the music director for the youth choir. So, everything was strange to me, but I love what they were doing. And, it's been it's been so nice seeing choirs rehearsing and performing at that tender age, even though I don't understand what they were doing. So I picked interest because I observed that for every time I joined them for rehearsal with the church organist, but on the concert day, they are going to bring someone else to come and play. And this person is a very young child. I mean, a very young child. He will just come, play the oratorios, play the everything. To my amusement, I felt, well, if this young child can do it, I can also do it. And, I developed interest uh, in playing the piano. And, you know, I started with a small wood, even though it was difficult because I had no teacher to teach me. And for everyone who could help then, they were so busy. So I have to self-taught myself. And, it's I finished the small wood within a month, even though I don't have somebody to guide me. But along the line, this same youth leader introduced me to someone that assisted me, and I registered for into a local music school around. And before I knew it, even though my mom wanted me to become a medical doctor, I tried all I could. I wrote jam. The cutoff mark was 170. I would get 169. When it became 180, without knowing that that wasn't the plan of God for me. So I heard of an institution around that they are doing music in their department. And I just felt, okay, let me give it a try instead of sitting down at home. Just, let me try and see if I can start from somewhere. So that was how I started, and I started with NC, uh, Adenogun Psychology of Education, Otojaniki, music education, even though it was not the regular, it was a part time. I proceeded to Lagos State University to do my first degree. And with the help of God, I continued to University of Lagos for my second degree, and that is how it has been. And to the glory of God, also, I'm also on my uh, postgraduate program.
So that's really interesting. Thank you very much for talking us through your background, through your journey to becoming the composer that you are today. Uh, it's interesting that you've done 2 degrees and you are working on your postgraduate degree. Now, there are those who might look at you and say, in Nigeria, was there any pushback? You talked about your mother wanting you to become a medical doctor. That's not necessarily
Yes.
pushback. Did you get any pushback from anybody while you were doing these degrees saying, don't study music, waste of time?
Uh, of course, if you tell people around you that you study music, they'll look at you like music out of all the courses in the university. No, I had friends who don't even see me as somebody because they will not associate with you because they felt your level of reasoning is not theirs. But the funny thing was that even in WAHEC, my WAHEC, I did physics and chemistry.
That's the
So
West
I
African
was,
Examinations Council. It's WAEC. Okay.
yes, 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 WAHEC. So I did physics and chemistry. And I remember that I passed it well, even though, uh, you know, you can't do you can't become a medical doctor without passing your biology, physics, and chemistry. I passed all these with flying colors, but I just felt that is not what God wants for me. And so even though people will tell you, they will tell me, Uncle, that is not the way to go. Even my mom, not until recently she begins to eat the fruit of her labor that she could. Okay, I think you are doing well. So that is how it has been.
But can you give tips to anybody who might be struggling now to study in Nigeria to become a
I
composer?
can't hear that. I can't hear that.
Do you have any advice
I can't.
to anyone? Can you hear me?
You said, do I have any what?
Advice for anyone who might be struggling. So anybody who is studying somewhere in Africa who people are laughing at and saying don't study composition, can you give them some tips, things that you did to persevere and to continue to where you are today?
Uh, the first thing is for them to trust in God because, of course, you can't become anything unless God is involved. So when you put your ways before Him, He will direct your path.
There are
So,
those
and I remember
who
also,
don't believe in any deity.
mhm,
There are those who
I
will
can't
say
hear you.
that first advice they cannot follow it because they don't believe in any deity or any gods.
Wow, I can't hear that, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
There are those who will say they don't believe in any deity, they don't believe in any gods or God. So, your first piece of advice, how can they apply it if they don't have any, they don't believe in anything, they believe in themselves and hard work, which is understandable.
If it is the deity that they believe in, they should pray to their deity for directions. The first thing is direction. Once you know where you are going to, everything becomes easy for you. So if you believe in the deity, if you believe in whatever you believe in, just pray in as much as you believe that thing answers your prayer. So I believe in God. I pray to God, and He has directed my path, and I'm enjoying it today. there is no cause for regret. I haven't regretted my actions a bit studying music.
Okay. I know this is quite early in the interview, but I want us to listen to one of your compositions at this point or at this stage in the interview. It's called Yipada. So we'll listen to that and then we'll come back to the conversation. So this is one of the compositions by our guest composer of today. It's titled Yipada. Well. Hello. Um, I'm sure everybody enjoyed watching that composition. Why are you shaking your head? Oh gosh. Why are you shaking your head? Let me speak.
Because that music, that piece means a lot to me, and that piece is actually for everybody. Either you are a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist. I mean, whosoever you are, you and I should know that everything will come to an end one day. Everything, everything, and as that music, as you were playing it, I felt so emotional. Tears was coming out of my eye because I can I can imagine, even if Christ or the world does not end today, what if I end today? Where will I spend the eternity? This is a food for thought in that song. So everybody should, live a righteous life, holy life.
Okay.
I mean, a life worth emulating, and so on.
Okay. Uh, that work is a very interesting one. I think at the point most people will say, "Oh my goodness!" I think the expression is "blown away." it
Mm,
it encompassed so many things. Now you've told us about
mm,
maybe the emotions you felt when you were listening to this work, which I think is absolutely a very very beautiful one. Was
mm.
that also the inspiration behind writing it? Because it has so many parts to it.
Well, anyway, like I said, I don't think about the topic of any composition before I composed it. I just I might just open my Bible and see a passage there, and before you know it, it becomes, lyrical. Or sometimes in my meditation, I just think to myself, what if I am no more? I used to hear, they say it every day, everywhere, that eternity, eternity, eternity. How does eternity even looks like? So that song is something else for me. Even my little kids, they whenever we play that song at home, they sing it from the beginning to the end. So I thank God for the reception of that song, that people loved it. I really appreciate that.
When you read your Bible, you said sometimes, or after your or during your meditation, the tunes come to you. What about, I mean, somebody listening to you who wants to follow along with your footsteps, or who wants to imitate you will say, "Oh, so are you saying if I pick up a Bible now and read it, this kind of music will come to me, or if I start meditating?" So tell us about your process as a composer. You said you don't think about it or you don't plan ahead. Can you take us through the process for those who want to learn from you and follow in your footsteps?
Okay, so apart from going to higher institution of learning to learn harmony and what have you, composition is beyond that to me. I see composition as um, what you don't give out what you don't have. And apart from learning, so many people went to school to do composition, and you can't relate with whatsoever thing they compose. You can't relate with it. I felt, if anybody wants to start, apart from reading books for harmony or what have you, there are a lot of things that you can pick inspiration from. A lot of things. In fact, I mean, many of my compositions, uh, I pick resources from existing airs, probably from a crusade, from my local church, maybe during revival, the revivalists just sing a song, or one of our existing local airs during revival. And I felt, oh, what if? Before you know it, it becomes a masterpiece. What if? So you can pick inspiration from anywhere, either it's during the rainy season, or you know in whatsoever sphere. You can pick your inspiration even while you are at home, even while at the kitchen, at the bedroom. You can pick inspiration from anywhere. But most times, especially if you are into church music, you cannot do anything outside the context of the Bible. There is a lot that a church musician can write about from Genesis to Revelation, and that is it for me. So the Bible is a good resource for any church musician to tap from. There's a lot. Even the Andes of this world and the Mozart and what have you, at least there's a peak. Was from our oratorios from the beginning to the end. There's no way you don't see the Bible references on the compositions. And that is not the end. There's still a lot we can pick from the Bible.
Okay. When you said earlier that you cannot relate with some of the compositions by certain composers who have studied the theory, understand harmonies, what do you mean by relate?
What I was trying to say there is that it is not everybody that goes to school to study music that is a fantastic musician. We have some people who did not attend any higher institution of learning, and they are good composers. So that is what I'm trying to say.
That's interesting. I guess that, I mean, I know that there are ongoing conversations about the need to study and the
Hmm.
need to use your talents. That's a separate conversation
Exactly.
ongoing. So it's
Exactly.
your opinion. I want to read a quote, or I want to summarize a quote from another African composer. In fact, it was the first composer we interviewed last year, and I think this quote is causing
Okay.
some interesting conversations online. So I'll just summarize it very quickly. His name is
Okay.
Samuel Johnson, and he effectively said that it is important to use music theory as a guideline in achieving
Mm-hmm.
sonorous melodies and independent harmonies rather than as a rule. What do you think? Music theory as a guideline instead of as a rule.
Well, music theory as a guideline, of course, for anybody who goes to higher institution of learning, there's no way you will not learn the rule of Western harmony. It is compulsory you go through that system so that you can become vast about some rules of harmony. Anyway, I say it like this: what about the local composers who don't know anything about rudiment of music or rules of harmony, and they are writing well? So everything must be balanced.
Okay.
Everything must
I
must
put
be balanced. So,
I put the full quote by Samuel on the page. He said, I am not
mm,
against music theory because it makes music organized, but I would rather
yes,
superimpose my inspiration and creativity over how it is usually done. Because music that is written so pure and somewhat sterile is like a novelty that loses its appeal over time.
yes, is on point. Samuel is on point. That is how it is. So if you check the song you just played now, and you are trying to look at the rules of harmony, or you might begin to find faults, might begin to see consecutive what have you and what's, but beyond the consecutive fifth and so on, uh this is music. This is music. This is what I am inspired to write. Even though if it were to be in the classroom, of course, you have to obey everything your teacher gives to you. Do not write consecutive D, consecutive that. So that is the way it is. So somebody is very right. Is on point.
Okay, that's really interesting. Gosh, you're absolutely right. There are arguments online about people saying, "Oh, look at the consecutive days, look at that,"
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and that can deflate people's spirits. It can discourage people from composing. But this has
Exactly.
been really really interesting.
Exactly.
Um, are there any composers that you admire? Before I let you answer, I will mention one of our past or previous interviews. One of the composers we interviewed mentioned you when we were talking about composers that they admire, composers who are doing very
Okay.
well, African composers, and he
Okay.
mentioned. I thought,
Okay.
okay, that was some context. So, are there any composers that you admire generally? Don't feel pressure to mention any African composer. Just anyone you admire generally. Not they don't have to be Africans. Hello, I cannot hear you. I cannot hear you. No. Oof. Maybe if you maybe disconnect and reconnect as we did before. Is that okay? No. What if you leave and rejoin the way we did during the test? No, nothing. Nothing. Brilliant. Yeah. Please give us a few seconds. We had this issue during the test. So hopefully it should be resolved shortly. We fixed it by he's back. Let us see. Hello.
Hello.
Good. Thank you. We can hear you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. So apart from the Andes of this world, the Mozart and Beethoven that we have played, my first inspirations are my teachers. at the College of Education and at the university level, because if I don't see them do it, if I don't study their works, there is no way I would have been able to put, what I'm doing together. Uh, um, I would like to mention this person, Dr. S.O. Babalola. He has been a great inspiration to me at the College of Education. And of course, Mr. David Aino at the Lagos State University, a fantastic composer also. And of course, you know, there is no way I can. These people I've just mentioned, were the first people that inspired me to write before I got to before I got exposed to the Akiuba, Joshua Usogwe, because I also did African pianism in my first degree. So I did African pianism as my final reciter. So a lot of the work of Joshua Usogwe, in Ketia, Bodio Mojola, Professor Bodio Mojola. Uh, there, there are so many. There are so many. Lase Kweme, the Professor Lase Kweme. There are so much. And of course, Dr. Oluranti also, Messiah Babami. There are so many who have been, an inspiration to me.
Okay, that's interesting. Uh, you do you engage beyond Nigeria? Hello, can you hear me? Oh my goodness, we've lost your sound again. We have lost your sound again. We're having such an engaging conversation. Please give us a few seconds, everybody. We should have this resolved very, very shortly. Thank you very much to those who are watching us live. I can see that we have some people watching us live. Thank you. Brilliant. He's back. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Do you engage with composers beyond Nigeria? It appears all the composers you mentioned, apart from the European ones, are all Nigerian.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Mm-hmm.
you engage with composers, other African composers who are not Nigerians?
Uh, of a truth, we are trying, and thank God for somebody like James Varick Ama, Kofi, who is doing well and who is also accepting some of our works to be performed in his choral. And I am also looking forward to work with other African composers, either from South Africa and other African countries.
Right. You talked about African pianism. You talked about African pianism earlier. You mentioned African pianism. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Aha.
yes, I can hear you.
What can you tell us about African pianism? We've had conversations about this before, especially with a pianist, Echezona Chukwu Unduka. I don't know if you know him. What is
Yes,
different? What
yes, I
is
know him.
pianism? Why does it exist? What is it about, as far as you are concerned, from your perspective?
I I feel is a music for a national identity, for Africans, you know, um, a way to identify ourselves with you know, with the instruments. What I'm trying to say is this: um, the African pianism has been able to help us and to also let the Europeans know that what they are doing with the piano, we can also do better. We can make the piano to sound like a drum. We can make the piano to, to do a lot of things beyond playing the Tchaikovsky and Beethoven's of this world with our own rules of harmony.
That's a very interesting, concise way to describe African pianism. Thank you very much. Before we move on with the rest of the interview, can you tell us very briefly what Ramb Music Africa is? Ramb Music Africa.
I can hear you.
Can you tell us what Ramb Music Africa is?
Wow.
Still can't hear me. Hello.
I can't hear you.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, I
Ramp.
can hear you now.
Can you tell us what Ramp Music Africa is? You are described as an initiator of Ramp Music Africa. What is it?
Okay. Okay. Ramp Music Africa is a music outfit. Uh, a non, it's a music outfit where we train people how to read and write music, and of course, we uh, is a company that you know we teach people how to uh, sing, especially choral, and of course, a way to also make sure that African, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can.
Aha. So is a platform for Africans because we've been able to go to some nearby African countries to teach them how to read music like the Benin, Togo, and so on. So that is what it's all about, to instill the technical know-how of music.
Okay. Hmm. How does this relate to Haviland Chorale?
Mm. Well, Aviland Choral is a choral group on its own. Aviland Choral has been existing for some years now, even though it wasn't Aviland before. It used to be concert pitch choral. So that is how it is.
Okay, so I hope our guest, our audience can see that our guest composer is not only a composer, he manages choral groups, he works with choirs, and as
Yes.
he said, they travel around teaching music, helping people with their singing skills, and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So you talked about Africa and other African countries. I would I would like to expand on that topic very briefly before we move on. I've spoken to other
Okay.
customers and I've asked them about the contributions of African composers when it comes to teaching everybody else what we know. What I have observed is people come from all over the world to Africa to teach us music, musical styles. But I always say, why are we not going out to teach people? So you said that you go to other African countries. Have you observed as well that we tend to be a recipient? We just sit down and people, well, we don't just sit down, but people like to come
I
and teach.
can't hear you. I can't hear you again, please.
Hello? 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 Sorry, everyone. We're having some technical issues. We will solve the
Hello, I
problem.
can't hear you.
Hello? Hi, hi, hi. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Brilliant. Have you noticed or have you observed that we tend to accept knowledge from elsewhere, but we don't do as much teaching. We don't export what we know with respect to our musical composition styles.
I can't get that question again. Please repeat again, please.
Do you think we do enough? Do you think Africans do enough to export their musical knowledge and their skills and their styles?
Hmm.
Give us a few more seconds. Let's just persevere, everybody. I think we've done a good job so far. Hold on, he's back again. Thank you. Hello,
Hello?
hello.
Yes, I can hear you now.
I said, do you think we do enough? Do you think African composers do enough to export their own
Um,
style, their own knowledge, just as you do within Africa?
well, we are trying our best considering the our exposure level, even though it's not enough. I decided to put out my works recently because I felt my laptop cannot be singing my works for me. My laptop cannot perform my works for me. So instead of keeping them in the laptop or trying to make it an archive, why can't I make it available to the world? Africans still have this mentality of, I don't want them to see my work. I don't want them to, steal my knowledge. I don't want, and the more you feel like that, the more, of course, your work won't go anywhere. So Africans still need to get out of that mentality of, I don't want to use a language that is not good. So we need to get out of, that self believing that if my works goes out, somebody else will take inspiration from me. Somebody else will
Okay. We've lost the sound again, but we will not give up. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you. We keep losing the sound. Please try again. We'll keep doing this until we get it right, till the end of the interview. Okay,
no
brilliant.
problem.
Good. Good, I can hear you. Fantastic.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to change as much as possible any mentality that limits us and
Okay.
causes us to be afraid that we'll be copied. Okay, did you hear that?
I can hear you.
I said I'm just summarizing what you said before we move on to the next question.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
the next question is from somebody's post on Facebook. I will
Okay.
summarize it because of our technological issues. She said, when she voiced her concerns to a lecturer, okay, somewhere in
Okay.
the US, who was teaching them a subject called Music of Africa. She voiced her concerns that he was making mistakes um, with respect to the text he was using. There was a lot missing, she said, in the text. He told her in response, your language and knowledge were passed down orally. No one really knows anything, not even you. How do you feel about that statement?
I don't really get it, please.
Okay, so a lecturer told the students
Okay.
in a university, I think this was some time ago, your language and knowledge were passed down orally. No one really knows anything, not even you. She was challenging the lecturer with
Mm-hmm.
respect to some missing items with respect to the text, what he was teaching. She said there were some things that were missing, they were lacking. So what do you think about what the lecturer said, assuming you heard me this time?
Sincerely, I didn't get that. Sincerely, I didn't get that.
Okay. Let us move on to listen to one more of your works and we'll see if we can reconnect properly. So I will play one of your compositions now before we continue. Thank you to
Okay.
anyone who's watching us.
Okay.
Thank you for your patience. So this is one of our guest composers' compositions. Wow, that was another interesting. That was another interesting composition by our guest composer.
Mm.
And anybody who watched that now knows not only a composer, he also sings and he's a conductor. Okay, and he manages several groups as well that are involved. Quick question: do you
Yes.
compose in any other languages? Because the two works we have watched just now are written in the
Mm-hmm.
Yoruba language.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am trying as much as possible to be careful, not to murder any other language, because I don't want to.
Did you say
I don't want
murder?
to be
Not
controversial.
murder.
I don't want to be controversial. So just let me let me remain in my zone. Uh, so if
Okay.
there's any reason for me to write for any other language, then I will need to get a teacher who will teach me so that I will not make blunder of the language. So that is just it. So I'm just being careful.
Okay. Okay. All right. Do you write for anything other than choirs?
Yes, I write for other
Ooh, we've
musical instruments, for baton, piano, name it. I write for them. Beyond choral, I write for other
what is your
instruments.
okay, but what's your favorite type of composition? Is it choral or something else?
Well, I haven't been exposed to all genre of music. I will not say I am 100%. I am a choral person 100%. I can do Fuji, I can do Juju, I can do jazz. So, and of course, you can feel. I mean, all these components in my works altogether.
Mm. Now that you mentioned components, I noticed in what we just listened to, there are some recognizable tunes. I think they are well-known tunes that you maybe
Yeah.
incorporate into your music.
Yes.
Okay. All right. How
Yes.
is your postgraduate study going?
We thank God. If not for the for the COVID, I remembered one of Mr. James Raleigh interviewed when he said COVID. Is it COVID? When he tried to cough about it. Okay, so if not for the COVID, I think of course I'm doing well. My teachers are fantastic. I know with time I'll be through with it.
So you said your teachers are fantastic. What is your opinion of other African composers? When you sit back and you think of
Yeah,
African composers, what is your opinion? Tell us.
sincerely, Africa composers are amazing because if you listen to other people's composition, you will know that the way God has showered this gift on humanity is so great. So I mean, when you listen to African composers from other continents, you'll be wowed. So sincerely, my impression on all other African composers are very great. Uh, Imagine those in Nigeria alone. Uh, Imagine those in Nigeria. Is it the south? Is it the east? Is it the west? Is it the north? Not to not talk of composers outside Nigeria. Everybody is doing so well. All right.
Okay. All right. um, there are there are a number of things that are going wrong in our world today.
Hmm.
What is the function of music with all the devastation that we are observing? Let's concentrate on your country, for example, where you are right now. What is the function? Can music play any kind of role? Does it have a purpose with this suffering that some people are experiencing? Let's be specific. We are hearing reports about attacks in certain parts of the country. We look at Katsina State, for example, the horrible pictures that have emerged of the killings of people, according to reports. What's the function of music for the nation as a whole?
Sincerely, music plays a pivotal role uh, in any country, in any nation. For Nigeria specifically, the musicians of this country are trying in their own way, not only for choral singers. I mean, imagine Fela during his days. He was able to speak up, you know, and I don't think we still have that courage like then, to face the government, to tell them where they are wrong and so on. But I know recently people are beginning to have courage and confidence to write about issues that are germane to the lives and and properties in this country. So music is playing a pivotal role, and it cut across all genres and not just for choral.
Okay. We have a few minutes left in the interview. It's a real pity we were interrupted by technological issues, but I want to get as much from you as possible. So let's spend the last few minutes together, okay? If you can just tell
Yeah.
us your hopes for African music composition going forward. Feel free to use the next 3 minutes and a half to just talk about your hopes, your suggestions, any advice that you have.
Well, I still feel we need more of uh, publicity for our work because many of our work still remains with us. There's no way. There are ways. Don't let me use the word. There is no way to explore them to other continents and I mean other parts of the world. Uh, I don't know if there are publishing firms in Nigeria here who takes composition and and again, I'm sorry, people just want free sheet of music, unlike what is obtainable in the Western world. So I feel uh, we can encourage ourselves by coming together, like what you are doing now. Your platform is a very good one for for composers to showcase what they are doing, and we really thank you for that. You are also a
We have lost your sound. Sorry. We've lost your sound. If you just adjust again, I'm so sorry, everybody. Just give us a minute. Not yet. No, I still cannot hear you. Not yet. Give us a few seconds, please, for our guest to reconnect. And we should be with you in a few seconds. We should be able to resume shortly. Thank you. He's back. Hello, can you hear me? Yes, I
yes,
can hear
I
you.
can hear you.
Please
So we
continue.
we need the right channel to explore and to export our music, explore and export. It's very important so that our music will not just remain with us. And African composers should also do well by to going to all these local communities in a way to archive existing song and a way to preserve them for other generations. Like what I do in my own small corner, I pick existing airs from my church, and I want them to continue to live on. So that is my advice for African composers.
Wow, thank you very much. This has been a very interesting interview in several ways. Thank you so much for the information that you have passed. Thank you very much for the introduction that you've given us to yourself, to
Mm,
your work, your
mm,
process, and your hopes and aspirations. This has been brilliant. Thank you for your time. I hope you are keeping well where you are, by the way, with everything that's
of
happening around
course.
coronavirus. Okay, good.
Yes.
Thanks for your time. We wish you success going forward. We hope to hear more from you with respect to your activities. Thanks to all those who watched us live as well. And I hope everyone has
Mm,
a well, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day wherever you are in the world. Thank you. Thank you again.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.